Hello, team, and welcome to episode 26 of Creative English 2025. I knew we would meet our connection. Bonus points if you recognize the song. Team, we have started one of my favorite sets of the year. I am tired. We're halfway through the year, and I'm going to let you guys teach the class. I want to hear your stories. I want you guys to teach me something cool. Don't worry, I will help you prepare. Today, we start our class about formal speaking. What do I understand as formal speaking? It means you have time to prepare. If you have an important conversation, an important presentation, but it's instant, I don't consider it a formal meeting or a presentation. If you have time to prepare for it, you can deliver your best version. You can plan, you can think, and that I consider a formal speaking. And today we had a request. Miss Luana asked me to talk a little bit about connecting words. I think it's a great grammar point. We need to go over it. And I'm actually going to extend this a little bit throughout the next few weeks so that you guys can deliver amazing presentations. So team, half the year is over. If you feel that you have been derailed, let's expression of the week, get back on track. And if you have been kicking some butt, just keep on kicking butt. But I don't have KPIs. I work by myself. I don't have alignment meetings and all that other fancy stuff that people love. But I do ask myself these three questions every once in a while just to help me focus. And they help me, and I hope they can help you. So we're in the middle of the year, and I think it's the perfect point to ask these questions, which is, number one, what have you done extremely well this year? We need to pat ourselves on the back. You're doing something well. And even if you have been a little bit relaxed with your diet, you've been good at work. Maybe you haven't been working too hard, but then maybe you've been really been studying a lot for something else. So there's always a balance. We've always been doing something well, even if it's leveling up in a video game. So what have you been doing extremely well? Number two, this is something that I heard about once. I liked it. I adopted it, which is kind of a reverse bucket list. Every once in a while, I just remove a responsibility from my life, or at least the current moment. And unfortunately, in this middle of the year, the kids have been getting sick a lot. One gets well, the other one gets sick. Then this one gets well, the other one gets sick again. And it's like a little medical ping pong. So Patricia and I decided that we are not making commitments until the end of the year. We are not saying, oh, we will do this in 1 month, because we had to cancel actually like 3 times, and it's really bad. So no more commitments until the end of the year. When we get closer, if there's still a spot for us, we will ask to participate. Last up, what one goal, if you have achieved it, would make the second semester amazing? We all have a bunch of goals. What's the big one? Let me know. So, team, those are just some organizational questions for you. Now, let's get to our grammar point. Connecting ideas. Why did I pick connecting ideas? I've done connecting words before. Here's your list. There's always a list. You know all of these words, and it's about picking ones you're comfortable with. You don't need an arsenal. You need 1 or 2 for each category that you can use instantly. And I'm also going to be offering some expressions that don't usually appear on these lists. That's kind of the continuous practice I talked about earlier. But I do like to bring some tips. Number 1, labeling transitions. What do I mean by this? We're in a constant, we're in a constant battle for attention. People are thinking about their phone, the little tiger game, what they're going to eat, the pretty girl in the office, whatever it is that people are getting distracted with. And we need to keep bringing people's attention back. So label your transitions. Tell them there is something new going on. And there's lots of ways we can do this. Now, let's look at this. Now we've arrived at this. Now we're doing this. Great way. Super easy to include in your English. You see them, they're a little, they're confused. Let me explain. Here's how this connects. You're going to explain. Let me show you why that matters. Sometimes you just need to say something. Sometimes you need to explain why. So let me show you why. A little bit more formal, building on what we've just seen. You know your presentation, so building on what we've just seen. And one that I use all the time, which brings us to easy to include. Like I said, up here, pick one from each to test out. You don't need an arsenal. Number 2, contrast. Our brains love it. I talk about this when we study adjectives. You learn hot by learning cold. So pick a good contrast. Make a contrast if you don't have one, and it will help people remember. And it's an easy one. I like this here in this square. You know, on the one hand, we can do this, but on the other hand, we have this option. We have a lot of simple ones. In contrast, compared to, conversely, apparently this was unfamiliar to my students. It just means the opposite as well. And this is what I call the Instagrammer special. Many people will tell you this, but I'm here to tell you the truth. And you create that imaginary enemy. It's like, nobody says that, but let me listen to you. Let me hear what you have to say. So it works. It hooks people in. The data and the algorithms tell us it works. So create an invisible enemy. You know, do that contrast and people will pay attention. Number 3, strategic repetition. If you repeat things by accident, it sounds lazy. If you tell people, I'm repeating this, it sounds important. So our brains are not as good as we like to think. Watch this. If you want connection, build trust. If you want influence, build trust. If you want impact, build trust. What did I just say? You might not remember the whole sentence, but I imagine you remember. Yeah, I'm going to go build some trust. So, you know, repeat what you think is most important, because people will leave a conversation with like one sentence, maybe. And one sentence is a lot, maybe just like a feeling or a word. So give them what they will remember. I always tell my students who are going for interviews, give them your adjective. Decide for the interviewer what they will remember. And don't use these in emails because it will sound passive aggressive, but you know, as I said before, as I said earlier in the presentation, so you're just repeating it so that they know it's important. It all comes back to this. Maybe you're in a meeting, you have that important point that you want to get to, you go off on a tangent, but it all comes back to this. Let's not forget. So again, there's that important thing you want people to remember. Let's not forget, we need this done by Friday. This ties into, like this connects. And this one I use kind of a variation of this. You'll hear this again for a reason. I say this all the time for a reason. And when I hear myself repeating something, at least I think it's important. So I try to emphasize this by telling you I'm repeating myself. All right. Now pick your favorites. 3-word Wednesday. I'm going to give you 3 expressions each week to get back on track. This was actually our expression of the week. And I think we can use this both like this. Maybe the meeting, you start talking about something else. Let's get back on track. And we have the opposite, which is to derail, which is to get off track. It's crucial to highlight. So we use the word highlight to emphasize something. I want to highlight this. I think it's important to highlight this. It's crucial to highlight this point. To reiterate the core message, to say it again. I think it's something you might want to have in your repertoire. Our talking point was about helpful opinions. And this was a good one. This question right here generated some interesting conversation. You know, what's the difference between advice and an opinion? I'm still not convinced they're that separate, but there was a general consensus that advice is more personal. I'm still not convinced advice is not an opinion though, but it was interesting. What are your thoughts? You know, what do you think? And just different variations about what your thoughts are about advice, opinions, helpful opinions, when to give them, when to shut up. But that's our talking point this week. And last up, your official challenge, my mama told me. What's your job? I want you to pick 3 good transitions. You can pick the ones from the expressions that I brought. You can use some from the list. But I want you to tell a story, and I want you to actively use at least 3 of those transitions. Team, that's what I've got. We'll be working We'll be working more with similar topics this month, and we will finalize this with your presentations, your test. But that's what I've got for you today. Like always, thank you, and I hope to see you in class. Have a good one.